Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining the Sai Satcharita Parayan. We stopped yesterday at chapter 13. We will continue the story from where we stopped. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shri Sai Baba. Chapter 13, the cure of Bhimaji's tuberculosis. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deity, to Shri Sita Ramachandra. My most humble obeisance, I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. And we'll also be continuing chapter 14. We'll begin from chapter 14. The next chapter is Ratanji's meeting with Sai. I hope you'll enjoy this beautiful lesson. I think let's know what happens with Bhimaji's tuberculosis. We stopped at verse 147. We will begin from verse 148. A gentleman from Haradasati was afflicted with colic and had been suffering for 14 years. He had tried all remedies to no avail. His name was Dattopant. News had travelled to him by word of mouth that in Shirdi there is a great saint called Sai, whose darshan alone removes all afflictions. On hearing such fame, he went to Shirdi and bowed his head at Sai's feet, beseeching his mercy. Baba, full 14 years have passed. This colic has pursued me relentlessly. Enough, oh enough. I have now reached the limit of my patience, nor do I have the strength to take any more suffering. Never have I betrayed or harmed anyone, nor have I ever shown disrespect to my mother and father. I do not remember my karma from a previous birth due to which I have to endure so much suffering. It is only the loving, compassionate glance of the saints, their blessings and prasad that remove all afflictions. Nothing more is then needed. And such was also Dattopant's experience. As Baba's hand rested on his head and he received vibhuti and blessings, his mind was relieved and comforted. Maharaj then made him stay for a few days. Gradually, the colic, the pain, subsided completely. Such indeed are the Mahatmas. How can I describe their greatness, their power adequately? Well disposed towards all the creatures, benevolence is their constant nature. Wow, this is so beautiful. And it is very true here, what Dattopant is asking. I have not done anything bad to anyone. I have not, I've not shown disrespect to my mother or father. I've always been doing the righteous thing. But which birth of mine do this karma come from? I don't know, for which I am suffering. Actually, every affliction or whatever that you're suffering in this life, know for sure you are taken this birth and you are going through those sufferings because of some previous karma of yours. And you cannot say from which birth that karma has come from. So any afflictions, it could be whatever diseases that you're having, is only because of your past karma. And we always have, this human being have this very interesting way of saying things. What is it I have done bad to anybody that I am suffering? Sir, you have done bad. That is why you're suffering in some other birth. May not be this birth. But when you do all the good things in this birth, definitely in your future births, you're earning that merit, which means you will be born in a better womb, in a good family where your spiritual wheel will happen very well. So that is what the truth is. And like here it is mentioned, when you meet the divine, just their glance, the prasad that they give, their hand of benediction and benevolence is good enough to eradicate all the karma, all the sufferings will come to an end. Such is the greatness of these Mahatmas, the great gurus, the fakirs, the Almighty Lord themselves who have manifested in the form of a guru. The guru is none other than the Almighty Lord himself, the Parabrahma. And it said, benevolence is their constant nature. Absolutely, well disposed towards all the creatures. They only can look with the eye of compassion. They feel sad when a human being, goes back and falls into the same gutter, even after, teaching him such beautiful lessons. A man is not able to overcome from their, the baser instincts, the basic instincts that they have, all this anger, lust, greed, all the Shadripus. They're not able to overcome this nature of theirs. And lust is greed is the two most dangerous thing. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji also has repeatedly said in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that you have to stay away from lust and greed, which is Kamini and Kanchan. You cannot have them. The moment you have it, your downfall is for sure. And you know what? Ramakrishna ji had a very beautiful way to address every woman. He would call Ma, he would call mother, because he saw Kali Ma in everyone. He says that goddess is right in front of me. And the easiest way to overcome, your lusty desires or your lust and greed is to see that Ma in everybody, so that your mind is not going to have the lustiness in it. It is going to see that goddess in everyone. That is how you have to be. And he'll always say, stay away from women and gold, because those are the two elements that is going to put you down. And it's easy to fall on the path of spirituality. This is something you need to understand and be very careful about. Even as I sing these praises, I recollect other stories, one more wonderful than the other. But now let us pick up the threads of the main narrative and continue Bhimaji's tale. And so Baba sent for the Udi, of which he gave a little to Bhimaji, smearing a little on his forehead. He then placed his hand of benediction on Bhimaji's head. Bhimaji was then commanded to return to his lodgings. Patil took a few steps and then walked up to the cart. He felt quite energetic. He went to the place suggested by Baba, that is, Bhima Bhai's house. Though the place was closed and narrow, Baba had suggested it. Therein lay its importance. Being recently levelled with clay, the floor was wet. But he obeyed Baba's command and made arrangements to stay there itself. Of course, a drier place would have been available in the village, for Bhimaji knew many people, but the place mention of which came from Baba's mouth could not be changed for any other. So he spread out 2 sacks in that place, over which he spread out his bedding, and putting his mind at rest, he lay down on it. The same night, it so happened that Bhimaji had a dream, in which appeared a teacher of his childhood who started beating him. Cane in hand, he began beating hard, almost breaking his back, so as to make him learn by heart some Prakrit verses. To his student, he caused great pain and trouble hereby. The listeners must be very curious to know what these verses were. Hence, I cite below what I have heard in detail and word for word. She to whom stepping into any other house except her own is like stepping on a snake's head, the words from whose mouth are as hard to obtain as wealth from a miser's hands. To whom her husband's company is the highest happiness, though there be no wealth in the house, and who acts calmly with her husband's approval, only she is the true sati amongst men. But for what fault was this the punishment? It was difficult to understand. And yet the teacher would not let go of the cane. He was seized by a fit of obstinacy. Immediately after, he had another dream. It was still stranger than the first. Some gentleman came and sat on his chest, pressing it down heavily. Picking up a stone roller, he literally made a grinding stone of his chest. In his extreme agony, life itself seemed to leap to his mouth, as if he was already on his way to heaven. The dream ended, and he fell asleep, which brought him some comfort. The sun came up on the horizon, and the Patil awoke. He felt refreshed as never before. The feeling of being unwell had vanished altogether. Who remembered to check for the telltale signs of the grinding stone and the roller of the cane? People regard dreams as illusory, but sometimes our experience is to the contrary. In that same auspicious moment, the disease was destroyed and Patil's suffering came to an end. Patil was very pleased in his heart and felt it to be his regeneration. He then slowly set out to have Baba's darshan. This is so real. Normally people, yes, everybody says the dream isn't. It's a dream state, we say, or in our dream, we feel it so real and it is illusory. But anything connecting to the divine is not unreal. I will quote my own examples. Many a time, my Guruji, not many a time, every single day, if I were to dream, it is going to be something to relate with my Guruji. And there is something that is told to me, or whatever is going to come ahead. I get the dream, but I don't understand the meaning, what that means. But later, when the event is happening, then I associate, oh my God, this is exactly what was told. But when the divine beings or the gurus or your own, the great master come into your dream, he's giving you a message, or he's giving you a premonition of what is going to happen. In my case, many a time or every single day, my Guruji is there constantly in my dreams. He's giving me certain messages. Sometimes I understand, sometimes I don't, but it is the truth. And if you can dream only about the divine, then you know you're not anymore in that material. You're not, your mind is not in the material world. And that is so beautiful, because you're not getting dreams about your desires, because the mind is constantly active. Even if you're sleeping, your mind is way too active. And whatever the dream that comes, it's everything is there in the subconscious, in your subconscious mind, so that keeps throwing itself out. So this is how it works. But when it is connected with the divine being, know that to be true for sure. How the great masters work, you don't know. The reason they come and give you something, or tell you something, or something needs to be something needs to be done, they'll come and give you the instructions in any form. It could be through dream, or it could be through somebody, some other person they'll use to convey that message, or even through scriptures. So if you're reading and there is a message, like yesterday, the message was to us, to me especially, you need to do the Hari Bhajans. Continue doing it. Don't stop. So such was the message. These are just a reminders. So how they communicate, you can never fathom. But the communication happens when you have absolute faith in your master, in the divine beings. They very beautifully use any means to communicate to you. So have that faith. And that is why it is said we need to see God in everybody, this entire universe. We have to see just that God alone. We have to experience God in everything and everyone, and also understand that this world itself is unreal, so that you don't get attached and get carried away in that. So both this truth have to be understood by you. As he looked upon Baba's moon-like countenance, the ocean of joy in Patil's heart surged higher and higher. His face glowed with happiness, the eyes closed in a sweet, pleasant drowsiness. Floodgates were opened to tears of love as he placed his forehead on Baba's feet. The ultimate outcome of the punishments of caning and pressing the chest till the heart seemed to burst was clearly a happy one. It is impossible that a lowly creature like me should ever be able to repay the great kindness shown to me. Hence, I only lowered my head on your feet. This is the only way in which I can, in some measure, repay the debt. There is none other. Baba Sai, your wonderful ways are simply incomprehensible. Patil then stayed there for a month, singing Baba's praises, and returned home later, with a deep sense of fulfillment and remembering Nana's kindness with gratitude. Filled with devotion, faith, and a heartfelt happiness, the Patil, who was ever so grateful to Sai for his kindness, came to Shirdi quite frequently. And what does Sainath want but the two hands and a head, steadfast faith, and single minded devotion? It is enough for him that the devotee feels sincere gratitude. Absolutely. The divine masters or the divine beings are not expecting anything. They just need the absolute faith, that steadfast faith, and then single-minded devotion, single-pointed devotion to that one divine alone. And the devotee feels sincere gratitude. When you from your within your heart have that little bit of gratitude towards them, that itself is an offering. That itself is like they receive that love. That is the real offering that you can make. Not being ungrateful. Oh, once you get cured, then you're showing your ego, arrogance, and get back to your material ways. Not that. You need to be ever grateful to what the divine masters do with you and bestow all the benedictions upon you. Always be very thankful, very grateful to it. It is extremely important. When a person is in trouble, he promises a puja to Satyanarayana and performs it with its complex ritual once he is free from trouble. Similarly, from then onwards, the Patil began to observe the vow of Satya Sai on every Thursday with a purifying bath and other observances laid down for it. People read the story of Satyanarayana on such an occasion. Instead, Patil would very lovingly read Sai Charitra from Das Ganu's Arvachin Bhakta Leelamrita. In the 45 chapters of that book, Das Ganu has narrated the lives of many great devotees. And amongst these, the 3 chapters on Sainath form the Satya Sai Katha. Best amongst all the observances are the 3 chapters which Patil used to read. And as a result of it, he enjoyed boundless happiness and peace of mind. Absolutely true. We must always study the life stories of the great masters. We should always keep the company of the holy. We have to do satsangs and constantly praise the Lord. You have to sing bhajans. You need to give that time for yourself so that you can purify this birth. You can purify your mind, your heart, and surrender happens unto the lotus feet of the Guru and the God. And it is extremely important, because if you want a spiritual wheel, there is no other way. I think every chapter has described very beautifully the importance of human birth, why we need to be devoted to the Guru, why a Guru is important, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to repeat that, but yes, with the chapters continuing further, you will only listen more and more about it and different life stories of different people, how Baba has impacted them. Patil would invite all his relatives, brothers, and friends and would observe the Satya Sai Vrata regularly with a joyful heart. The Naivedya too was prepared, observing the same proportions of ingredients as for the Satyanarayana Naivedya. And the celebration would also be the same, except that here it was Sai being propitiated, there it is Sri Vishnu, nothing else was wanting. Patil thus set the trend, and it became a custom in the village. One after the other, people began observing Satya Sai Vrata. Such is the kindness of saints. When fortune smiles on the devotee, their mere darshan removes his worldly sufferings. Nay, even death is made to turn back. Now, the next story will describe the anxiety of one for having children, and incidentally, the oneness between all saints will appear to us as a miracle. A wealthy resident of Nanded, belonging to the Parsi community, received Baba's blessings, and a son was born to him. Oneness between Mauli Sahib of Nanded, a saint, and Baba was shown. Full of joy, the Parsi then went back to his place. The story is very touching. Listen to it with a calm mind, O listeners, and you will then realize Sai's all-pervasiveness as also his great affection. Hemad Pant surrenders to Sai absolutely and bows to the saints and to his listeners. To this narration in the next chapter, give a respectful ear. So we begin with chapter 14. Ratanji's meeting with Sai. Glory to you, O Sainath, greatest among the saints. Hail to you, O compassionate one, laden with virtue and excellences, and of a constant, unchanging nature. O supreme spirit, O boundless, faultless one, glory to you. Out of compassion for your devotees and mindful of things which are inconceivable to them, you appear to the devotees under different guises to help them overcome obstacles. Baba was also a divine incarnation who appeared to uplift the lowly and meek and to destroy the vicious, uncontrollable demons or evil desires in the devotees. All those who came for his darshan with a pure mind drank deeply of blissful self-realization. Their hearts overflowed with joy and they swayed to the rapture of love and devotion. On the feet of Sai Samarth, the most virtuous one, I, a lowly, meek, poor creature, prostrate humbly in obeisance. I now continue from the previous story where I had narrated how a devotee suffering from malaria was cured when the black dog ate curds and rice. How a dangerous disease, cholera, disappeared by his raising the index finger by giving taran to drink and roasted peanuts to eat. Similarly, how the colic of one, earache of another, and severe tuberculosis of yet another were destroyed merely by Sai's darshan. How by Sai's grace, Bhimaji enjoyed peace and happiness, and how he surrendered with gratitude to Sai ever afterwards. Equally novel is the present incident and as unique a miracle as the earlier ones. Knowing too well how eagerly interested the listeners are, I shall now narrate it. If the listeners are not attentive, how will the narrator be inspired? How will the narration excel? How will it be infused with life and spirit? You have to be very attentive. You have to listen with absolute devotion, because that is what will take you ahead. And if you have the grace that this knowledge has to come to you, there is I think your life is made, because it's not so easy to get this knowledge. So please listen with attentiveness. And then, what can the narrator do? For he is totally in the power of his audience. They are his main support, through whose response the narration gains in spirit and beauty. Absolutely. If you're not there to listen, who am I reading this for? Yes, of course, it's a very important thing that I read. But when the knowledge of the truth is spread to the devotees and disciples, that's the best um, merit anyone can have. And I'm only an instrument. So please listen in with absolute attention. The life of a saint, that is, it is naturally fascinating from within and without. For his way of life, his food habits, movements, behavior, everything is charming, and even his casual utterances are full of sweetness. Indeed, this is not a mere life story, but it is the life supporting water of self rejoicing which the all merciful Sai Maharaj has showered lovingly on his devotees as a means of remembering him. Speaking about how one should conduct oneself worthily in this worldly life, he actually showed them the path of renunciation. Such truly are the stories of saints which deal with both worldly and spiritual world. Absolutely, yes. This entire stories that you're listening here and what is being taught, one is how to live a righteous life in your material world while you perform all your duties, your swadharma, and do it in such in a detached manner. So Baba is teaching that one aspect, and second is about how do you attain your spiritual will. Everything is filled with profoundness of spiritual truth alone, which is also helping you how to evolve on the path of spirituality while doing your duties as ordained by your this body, the karma that you come with, whatever that is duty prescribed to you, you have to do it absolutely, in dedication and in devotion to that task. Whatever that your job might be, you need to be very devoted to that. That is the sincerity with which you have to work. So Baba is teaching in real time all of this, and also through all of the stories and himself setting an example. How do you attain that? That is what he's teaching here. So don't think that even a small word that is said from him is waste. Actually, it is mentioned very beautifully. The life of a saint, that is his naturally fascinating from within and without. For his way of life, like his food habits, movements, how they walk, how they sit, how they stand, there is something very profound. You cannot even fathom. You cannot look at, oh, look at him standing like that, or how is he eating? Why is he mixing all of this and eating? Everything has a profound meaning to it. There is a huge significance. Spiritual truth lies in that. So we must learn. And these great masters teach by showing you how they live. Then behavior, how they behave, how they conduct themselves. There is a reason why they behave in a certain manner, and we need to learn that. Everything is charming, it's sweet, it's madhur, and that's a very beautiful composition by Adi Shankaracharya about Lord Shri Krishna. It's called Madhurashtakam. In that, Adi Shankaracharya describes this every aspect of Lord Shri Krishna to be sweet. It says, Madhuradipati, Akhilam Madhuram. Everything of Lord Shri Krishna is so sweet. Just those words should make you horripilate. You should feel like, your heart is melting away and tears of joy has to flow from your eyes. That is how it has to be. That's the power of the devotion. And Adi Shankaracharya so beautifully described, how every aspect of Lord Shri Krishna is madhur. Gopir Madhuram, Leela Madhuram. Just even the gopis are madhur, sweet. Leela, his leelas, all the plays that he's doing is so sweet. You have to get lost in that sweetness. Have you ever listened? And if you have not, please go listen. And it is there are two beautiful great singers like Pandit Jasraj, who recently passed away. He sung Madhurashtakam, and also M.S. Subbalakshmi. You should go listen to them and be lost. When you go and understand the meaning and the truth behind it, you'll understand how every aspect of the divine is so sweet. It's madhur, and he's the Madhurashtakam. It's when you say Madhurashtakam, it's the truth of the sweetness of the divine. And Madhurhadipati, he's the Lord of ecstasy, bliss. He's the master of the love. And this is not the material worldly crass love. This is the love of the divine. You need to go learn that. It is very beautiful. Please go learn that. Speaking about how one should conduct oneself worthily in this worldly life, he actually showed them the path of renunciation. Such truly are these stories of saints, which deal with both worldly and spiritual life. Their purpose must be that one should be happy in the worldly life and yet be always alert and wakeful about one's spiritual welfare, so that the purpose of this human birth is fulfilled. See, if you're not going to take charge of your spiritual wheel, nobody else is going to. So you should, that is what is mentioned here. If you should always be alert and wakeful about one's spiritual welfare. The welfare can come only when you put your effort in practicing whatever your guru is teaching you. If you're not going to practice, then no spiritual wheel is going to come to you. You think as you evolve, the path of spirituality is going to be easy? No, it is not going to be. But when the hand of the guru is holding you tight, he's ferrying you across. Why are you worried? He will, no matter how dirty the path, how difficult, how arduous, you just need to have the path. You need to just have the faith that your guru will show you across that path. That is what it is. He'll ferry you across that shore, and you will reach the shore, the other side of the shore, in very safe manner. This is the faith you must have. And today it's very beautiful that I was in a contemplation and thinking, why is this the world like this? Why do I need to get into this world? There's so many things that's not palatable. The way how people live an unrighteous life, sometimes it gets very irritating, and I go through this aversion. That's part of a spiritual process. You have to get averted. You should just you have to get disgust with this material world. You have to become spiritual, completely involved in this one thing alone, because there's nothing in this material world that can ever give you that happiness or satisfaction as much as it gives me satisfaction. When I'm reading this, I'm in tears, just like that Madhurashtakam. The word itself brings tears in my eyes. That's how you have to feel. You have to horripilate, and those are the ecstasy. It's a way that the body expresses itself. It's called bhakti, and in bhakti you have different kinds of bhakti, and the highest form of bhakti is raganuga bhakti, and you should go read about it. Probably someday we'll talk about it in detail. So coming back to this subject, you need to just have faith in your master. And today when I was contemplating, I'm like, why am I even thinking about all this? Because why should I think that how I will evolve and how I will go through? No, it's just the faith. My Guruji is there. He is there to guide me and ferry me across. Just holding his hand and feet tightly, he'll show you across. You just need to hold his hand. Have that faith that everything will be fine. But you have to go through this process. See, because for you to become purified, you have to become the pure gold, the 24-karat gold, that aparanji. To become that aparanji, you're going to be put in the fire. That time you're going to scream, you're going to feel hurt, all that. Similarly, when the diamond is getting chipped, it's going to hurt very much. But once the chipping has happened, it's going to be the most lustrous diamond. It's going to shine with its brightest of the luster that it'll emanate from itself. That is the truth. In spiritual, for you to understand and become the divine, to realize yourself, or and to reach that destination, you have to go through that process. What is in Lord Shri Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, what seems to be bitter and painful in the beginning will become nectar in the end. That is the truth. But you need to hang on there, and you need to put your effort. Just follow what your guru teaches. And let me tell you, life will become very beautiful. And have this trust. No matter what he puts, whatever comes your way, no matter what is he going through, it's happening because you have to progress. They are all meant to be. He's using every event, everything as a catalyst so that you achieve your highest spiritual will. That is all the guru cares about. And you cannot understand and fathom their ways. So don't fall it. Yes, you have to go through the process. Sometimes you're not going to feel up to the mark. Sometimes you're going to go through all that. Yet, know that it's okay to go through it. It's beautiful. Just be in that moment. And this shall pass too. And you will reach where you have to reach. And when you look 1 year back from now, oh, did this happen to me? And you'll actually laugh at it. And you'll be very thankful that that event happened. Because if not for that, you wouldn't become who you have to become. Know this for sure. Many a time in my past, in my past world or past lives, I would not life. I mean, in my past, I have always thought, why is this happening to me? I just cannot take it. Why can't I have a good life? Why can't I have a peaceful life? But today when I look back, I'm very grateful to those events, because that is what has made me who I am today. I'm very strong. I'm independent woman. I'm empowered. Today I'm a divine being. Nobody can even point finger at me that, okay, this is, you are this. They can't talk about it. And the world can say what they have to say. But the truth is that when you are on the path of truth, nobody can shake you down. Know that there's a very beautiful saying in Bhagavad Gita, the last chapter of Lord Shri Krishna. And in that, Lord Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, where there is, Arjuna and Lord Shri Krishna, there is grandeur, glory, righteousness, victory, and he destroys everything. So when Lord Shri Krishna is on your side, what is that are you going to fear? Have this faith and conviction and go ahead in your journey. Never ever fear. Become fearlessness. It is only on the strength of the great merit accumulated in the past births that a being gets this human frame, quite unexpectedly. To add to it, when he also attains spiritual progress, it is a rare good fortune. I don't know if you're even understanding this verse. That's exactly what I just explained. It is such an important thing to attain a spiritual wheel, and that comes only with a rare good fortune. And most important is to have this human birth, because having a human birth is the primary, the foundation, the essential ingredient to even get a guru or even get the grace for you to be in spiritual. So be thankful that you have this human birth and don't waste this human birth, because there is nothing in this world, every day running a rat race, getting attached to your husband, wife, mother, father, children, boss. It's not worth it. There is nothing. Or don't get lost in the sensual pleasures. You want to enjoy, having go into your baser instincts. It's not going to give you anything in this world. But when you care about your spiritual welfare, you will see that life is so beautiful. You can see that entire universe is a magic, you'll find. And sometimes, yes, you're going to have this contradicting views, but it's fine. It's only momentary. You will evolve through that as well. And then you can only see divine in this entire universe. Then you will be in that blissful state that you can only give love. Nothing just touches you, just your aura. When you walk around, you will be able to, pass on your goodness and that good energy of love to everybody. So be that. But he who will not make the best of this opportunity makes of himself a senseless burden to this earth. How is this his joy in living any different from that of an animal? Absolutely. Look, I am not saying this. Baba has mentioned this in scripture. If it is not for spiritual weal, then you become an animal. There is no use of your life. And this is what most 99.99 people in this material world are, an animal, nothing but. And they will keep coming back again and again and again. Men, they have sanctioned millions of births and deaths for themselves. They are into that cycle of, the cycle of birth and death, constantly, going back, coming, going and coming. They're never going to attain the spiritual will. But with some good merit is when you get this grace. And take use of this opportunity, and if you have one. And even if you don't have one today, if you can still get the opportunity if you make an effort. That is what Baba is saying here. Such a man is truly an animal without a tail and horns, who knows nothing else but eating, sleeping, fear, and copulation. Oh my God, that is so true. I think I don't want to even repeat this. I just explained it. Beyond this, there's nothing in their life. They either live in their mind, think and dwell into some imaginary things, and will die of miserable life. Yeah, you'll get into sickness, then you're going to die. What use is your life when you yourself cannot be happy and you have not given happiness to anybody else? The happiness is not a material worldly happiness. The happiness is about being good, being loving, having the divinity within you. You need to take the name of the God. That is what your spiritual will have to be, not bloody given to your pride, egoistic. And today my Guruji was teaching a very beautiful lesson, even in Das Bodh. Samarth Ramdas Maharaj is saying that, pride. When a man gives into pride, please remember this very well, that you're ready to cut your own legs. You're going towards destruction. Pride is not going to take you anywhere. On the contrary, you're going through the gutters. So be very careful how you want to behave. And you want to attain some spiritual weal, redeem your life from all the misery that you're into, the filth that you're living. Please be divine. Evolve. Stand up right now. Make an effort today. It's better late than never. Get up now, because you're getting this warning. There is a reason why you're listening to this. So wake up. It's a wake up call. Oh, how great is the significance of human birth. It is only through this that devotion and worship of God and the attainment of the four muktis is possible. Through it alone will come self-realization. Like a streak of lightning in the clouds is this worldly life, fleeting and transitory. Even a moment of happiness is rare to the people here. who are devoured by the fear of the serpent of death. A man is constantly living in the fear of death. I see a lot of old people. What they don't understand is everybody has to die. But why do you fear death? Why do they think they want to survive? They still, I need to take care of my health, because if I don't, then I'm going to sick and I'm going to die. What they don't seem to understand is your life is, you've come with a very programmed destiny. A destiny is fixed. You cannot change the destiny. Your birth and death, you don't have a choice. It is the divine will. When you have to die, that appointed timing is also fixed. And nobody can avert that, or nobody can change that. What can be changed? When you surrender to the divine, the impact of your suffering is alone cushioned. But how you have to die and when you have to die is only at the will of the divine. Nobody has this right. So people talk nonsense dime a dozen. Oh, I wish I die. People say whatever comes to their mind. They don't have control. They say the tongue doesn't have bone, and they say in Marathi it said, jibila hard nasta. There's no bone in your tongue, and it talks too much. It just blabbers and jabber, 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 nonsensical stuff. You need to control. Say the beautiful things. Why always be a negative person? Filled with negativity, bitter venom. Oh my God. And you're always thinking that I own somebody. Oh, she's my daughter. I have too much. I have the right to say what you want. It doesn't work like that. Why are you bothered? You are reached an age where you need to be lost in the divine. Why are you interfering in anybody's life? So you use your this body, this life to attain your spiritual will. Nobody can earn that for you. Yes, there is a way out. If you have your parents and you walk on the path of spiritual, actually you're helping redeem your parents as well. That's another way as well. So you put the effort. May not be, your elders might not be doing that, but you redeem them. You be that good son or daughter and help them attain their salvation too, because they're already living in that BS of this life, in that gutter they are living. Help them get out of that gutter so that they also can attain the spiritual will. Like a streak of lightning in the clouds is this worldly life, fleeting and transitory. Even a moment of happiness is rare to the people here who are devoured by the fear of the serpent of death. Father and mother, brother and sister, wife, son, daughter, or uncle, they all come together momentarily as floating logs of wood in the mainstream of a river. One moment they seem to come together, but are thrown apart in the next moment by the surging waves. And once the parting comes, never again will the setting be the same as before. This is a very, very profound truth, and you need to understand what this means. We claim so much, oh, he's my husband, he's my father, he's my mother, this is my relatives. We give so much importance, and we think that is what, that is where we belong, that is the family we are associated. We give so much attachment and importance to this. What Baba is saying here is, look, you all come together just as the log, one moment they seem to come together as a floating logs of wood in the mainstream of a river. There will be many logs floating. You all come together for a moment of that life alone. But then, after death strikes you, you don't even know who you are in the next life and who you are born with. So who is your mother? Who is your father? Who is this relatives? Nobody is there. Similarly, this life itself is a train journey, Many passengers come in. Some are there with you for a certain stops, like if you get off in few stations, and the rest of them are till the end of the destination. But still, everything is momentary. So what are you getting attached with? Who is this mother, father, brother, sister, wife, husband? Why are we associating with that name given by some person because whom we are born through their womb? See, God uses the womb so that you are born. There is a purpose why you are born, not to get attached to them. We get so lost. We build castles. We want a beautiful, a happily ever after. Live happily ever after. It never happens. People dream a lot. Even I dreamt, in my when I was very young, I used to watch all these Disney movies, fairy tales of all the princes, princess stories, all the Cinderellas of the world, and you name it. There's a Prince Charming who's going to come and sweep me off the floor and take me away in this beautiful, I don't know, in this oars, the knighting charmer, whatever. I just don't care. But that was all a myth. There's nothing like that. Truth is not that. Reality of life is never that. Okay, we all live in this hunky-dory, fancy stories, dreamy fairy tales given to us. But has any of your parents or anybody have told what reality is? They'll also tell you should get married. Why? Because it's not them themselves suffering, but they want to push you in that gutter so that you also can suffer. No mother is telling you, no, you be independent, you get married. You know what? I chose to be independent. I also did want to get married. I'll give you my own life story. At a point in time, I also wanted this Prince Charming, the knight in armor who could just sweep me away and, take me to his palace, all that crap. I dreamt about it. But there came a point in my life, then I didn't know what life is all about. I was still searching for that. I was still thinking that I need to get married because everybody was putting pressure on me. And then finally there was a moment of truth that happened when I met my Guruji and I came into spiritual. My Guruji did Bhagavad Gita teach lessons with me. And in that, there's something that triggered and something happened where I had this conviction. I am married to Lord Shri Krishna. He is my father, he is my husband, he is my mother, he is my brother, sister, friend, beloved, you name it. He's the greatest thing. He is my guru. That is who he is to me. So I don't need to get physically married to anybody. What I was seeking, my dream, the dream person is none other than Lord Sri Krishna himself. Nobody else can give me what I was seeking because I was seeking that in a human being. How can I seek that in a human being? It cannot be sought in a human being. Only God can be that. Unconditional love can only be given by the divine. My Guruji asked me a question. He said, what kind of a husband do you want? This was during the initial days when I met my Guruji. And he asked me, what kind of husband do you want? So I described what kind of husband I want. I said, he has to love me like this or blah, 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 blah. I described quite a few things. And what did my Guruji say? Oh, you are asking for Lord Sri Krishna. You want to marry God. That was a eureka moment for me. It hit me really hard. Oh my God. Now I understand why I can't find anybody. Because my mother will say, oh, there is a proposal that's coming for you. Go check it out. I would never feel even, I would not feel excited or even wanting to look at the picture because it never felt like it. There was something that was missing and I was searching for something which I didn't know what it was until I met my Guruji. And then that moment I realized, oh my God, I'm married to the divine. I don't need to physically get married to feel complete. The yoga is union with the divine. That is what I was seeking. And that is so very much within me. In Christianity, there's a very beautiful, ceremony that happens. When you become a nun, they commit their life. They marry Lord Jesus Christ. Similarly, in my case, we don't go through that process. You don't have to become a nun here, but you just have to, have a conviction. That is individual. It's not somebody's telling you to become that. It doesn't work like that. In my case, that was so strong because that is what I searched. The day I understood this, I became free. I became so, powerful. I became so contented. I didn't know what to say after that. But you know what? The world started talking bad things about me. They said I became an insane. I become mad. I'm thinking all the wrong things. Why? Because I was going on a path that is the truth, where everybody else is going into the gutters. And I put my foot down. I said, no matter what, I am not going to get married. I am married, my Lord Sri Krishna. That is what I put my foot forward. Everybody said a lot of things. People spoke bad things about me. But you know what? This is the way how the divine tests you. How much do you need it? How much do you pray for him? How much love do you have? How much devotion do you have? Are you going to be afraid and have fear and fall for what the people are talking and get carried away in that maya, or do you have the power to stand up and go after what you seek? This is the kind of test that comes. But come what may, I fought the entire world, and I've not given up. No matter what anybody said, I stood on the truth. When you stand on the path of the truth and when you walk that path, the Lord himself is there with you and nobody can touch you. Not even like my Guruji says, ऐसे तेरा बाल भी बाका नहीं कर सकते. Nobody can even touch my hair also. That is the strength you come. That is the power of the divinity. People can say whatever bad things they want. Nothing will affect me. On the contrary, everybody you beware. Anybody saying one bad word against me or the divine beings, the repercussions you will have to face. The wrath of this universe will come upon you, not on me. That is the thing. I am this pativrata. When I say that chaste, that is what I am. I am pure. I am divine because I am married, my Lord Sri Krishna. Not the way the material, worldly, crass human being can think. This is the divine, where I surrender my heart that God, you are everything to me. I am one with you. Yoga, that is oneness with Lord Sri Krishna. That is what it means. Not like you stupid people who think about the baser things. That is exactly what Baba is also teaching. There is nobody yours. People get married believing that they're going to have a happily married ever after life, but nothing. I am not joking. I've seen many people who have got married. Go and ask them the truth. They will tell you, I wish you are not, I was not married. You know what today everybody says to me? I know you are the most lucky one because you took the right decision and you put your foot down and lived what you believed in. That is what you have to be. Know that and don't fall for it. Stand up for whatever you believe. You don't have to. You don't have to please anybody. It is your life, and if you have to go on that path, please do so. And the grace and God will be with you. You don't have to be afraid. He who has not achieved his spiritual welfare in this world has made his mother suffer the birth pangs in vain. And unless he surrenders himself at the feet of the saints, his life is a total waste. Absolutely true. You have your bond with all the difficulty. Your mother has given you that birth, bearing you in her stomach for 9 months. How painful that is. But if you do not get your spiritual way, this is what your Baba is saying. Please, please listen to this, how important this is. He's saying, he who has not achieved the spiritual welfare in this world, he has made his mother suffer the birth pangs in vain. Whatever that suffering with which she has suffered and given birth to you, it is all in vain. Because you need to get that spiritual welfare. It's only for that you're taking this human birth, and don't waste it. And it says, if you don't do this, and unless he surrenders himself at the feet of the saints, his life is a total waste. There's no point in you living in this world. You are like a bubble, in the ocean which comes and goes. But what is the point in that life? You only suffered. There has been very few moments of goodness or that enjoyment that you might have had, and that is all it is. But if you look at your entire life cycle or the majority of your life period of your life, it's always suffering only. There is nothing else in that. So he is saying, Baba saying, don't waste that effort or the pain which your mother has endured in giving birth to you. Use it, redeem yourself, by which then you're redeeming everybody else in your life. The moment a creature is born, he begins his journey towards death. So he who believes that death will not come today or wait until tomorrow or the day after is only deluding himself. Absolutely true. We don't know when death can strike. Nobody has clue about it. And people think they have all the time in this life to live their life and keep in, given to the vain pride and arrogance. They think they are somebody like, I am this. People live in 1947. I was born. I did this. I did this. 1947 doesn't exist. It is long past. What can you do today now? You have whatever the remaining life left with. Make use of it. Surrender to the divine. God is giving you the opportunity. Don't ruin it. Let not the thought of death be away from your mind. After all, the physical body is but as a fodder for death. Such is the characteristic of worldly life. Hence, be alert. He who earns into worldly transactions with discrimination and wisdom will make spiritual progress effortlessly. Therefore, in worldly matters, there should be no slackness or indolence. He's saying here, please, I'm going to reread this verse. He who enters into worldly transactions with discrimination and wisdom will make spiritual progress effortlessly. When you have the understanding about the truth about life, and then you enter and do your duty, because you have this body and you have to do your duties, like what Lord Shri Krishna has taught in Bhagavad Gita, when he says to Arjuna, lift your bow and arrow and fight. You have to fight, because that is what you have come with. That is your swadharma, and you have to do that. Similarly here, Baba says, please do that, but with the discrimination, with an understanding that whatever that is happening around me, I need to do it in detachment. I don't have to get attached. I just have to do my duties, but be lost in my spiritual world. With that understanding, when you enter the worldly life, worldly transactions, then your spiritual ways happens effortlessly. You do not even have to bother. The divine will open up the path and he will sail you through that. But you just have to walk that path with that understanding alone. Therefore, in worldly matters, there should be no slackness or indolence. Regarding the fourfold objectives of human life, there should be no disinterest or unconcern. Those who listen to Sai's stories with love will attain the most excellent thing in life. Their devotion to Sai will grow, and the great treasure of happiness will be theirs. Those who love Sai deeply will be reminded of Sai's lotus feet at every step by this collection of stories. The story is an expression in words of what is inexpressible. an experience through the senses of what is beyond the senses. And hence, however deeply you may think, drink of these nectar, sweet stories, there is no satiating. Yes, you cannot be satisfied. You cannot say, I am satiated with whatever I listen. You want more and more and more. That craving, that burning desire for knowing more, for knowing the divine actually grows. It is very true what is mentioned here. He's talking about how you cannot understand who this divine is. You cannot ever describe God. You can only have experience. People, sometimes they'll ask me, please give me your experience. What is that you have experienced? I i can only try to express or describe how it is, but it is always beyond expression. I cannot explain the reality of what I experienced, because God is beyond expressions. If somebody can tell you that you have experienced God as seen in certain form and describing, that is only through their mind. You cannot describe God. God is beyond description. It is only your experience, which means as is your faith, so are your experiences. But that still cannot define, definitely say this is what it is. It is only you can say, oh, it was like this. If you look at any of the stories or any scripture for that matter, there is only a description by somebody, even Srimad Bhagavatam, when all the great saints are trying to describe the divine, they only give certain attributes, but that is still not that is still not who God is, because God is indescribable. So what makes you think you can describe? Even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna has said, even the great saints and sages have failed to describe thou. They cannot describe this divine being. You need to understand. And somebody says that they can and they give the form, know that that person is faking. Then you know he's a ghoul in this world. You cannot ever describe God. Those experiences are very profound. It is indescribable. And that is the truth. You can only experience it. The great divine beings, they will, when you say, have you seen the God? Have you experienced? They can say yes. But that is the truth, because they know God. But can they describe? No, you cannot describe. So a very beautiful story in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji's Gospel of Truth, where Ramakrishna Ji has said, he tells Swami Vivekananda wanted a job. And that time Ramakrishna Ji, says, you go and ask Kalima. I cannot ask her, you go and ask her. He would ask everybody saying, please give Swami Vivekananda a job. And then one day he says, please go to Kalima directly and you ask her. And you know what happens? When Swami Vivekananda goes to Kalima's temple, the shrine, and to ask her, she comes, he sees her, he just gets stunned. There's no words coming from his mouth. You cannot ask at that time. You cannot even describe what is this experience all about. And then Swami Vivekananda goes back to Ramakrishna Ji. And then he says, did you ask? He says, no, I couldn't. So like this, 3 times it happens. When you meet the divine, you cannot ask. There's nothing to ask. All you can do is cry at their feet. You just feel so beautiful, that experience. You don't want anything, because that's the ultimate thing that you can want. What else you need in your life? That is the blessing that you can have. That's the ultimate thing that anybody can have. That grace. That is all is required. What you have to get will come anyway. So don't ask for it. Such is the beauty of knowing God, the truth. This is the truth. So nobody can know this divine. And here what Hemad is saying is, this story is an expression in words of what is inexpressible. Even this is, they are only trying to tell this so that we can understand the divinity. But it is beyond expression, and an experience through the senses of what is beyond the senses. You still cannot use your senses to understand God. God is beyond mind, body, and senses, and the 3 gunas. You have to transcend all these 3 things to understand God. You cannot understand God with your senses or your mind. And whatever that you think, oh, I saw God in this form, it's all your mind's creation. And you're an idiot if you think, oh, God is going to come and give you a vision or something like that. No, you cannot experience them. The way things happen is so beautiful. That's why we say it's just consciousness. You're aware. I know means you're just aware. That's all. That there is that divinity. That is all you can be aware of. But the reason why we want to experience, we say Guru is a doorway to God, is that manifestation. He takes that form, so that you can first become devoted in that form. And that is when you can experience that Parabrahma, the unmanifest, in everything, everywhere, within you, outside you. Because God is within and without. That is what you will be able to experience, and that is the supreme truth. And you need to understand, and don't go fall for all this ritualistic, some statue in some temple. No, there's no God there. If you can go ask anybody walking on the street, and so many people doing pujas, and even the great priest who's in Balaji shrine. Have you seen Balaji? No, the answer is no, nobody has seen. But the great saints, the divine being themselves, they have seen God. They know what God is, but they cannot express. You cannot say God is in this way. No, it is indescribable, and that is the truth about the divine. Inconvincible are the leelas of these saints. Indescribable is their greatness. Who has the power to describe them adequately in words? Exactly what I said just now. Nobody can describe them. And as these tales fall on the ears, all the while, Sai will also come always before the eyes. He will thus remain in the mind, in thoughts and meditation, and in memory day and night. Waking and in dreams, sitting, sleeping, or eating, he will appear to you, and he will always be with you. Wherever you may go or come, in the crowds or in the forest. This is what happens when you're constantly with that divine, when you become one. You can experience them everywhere. Then your mind is only in that. Then you become one with them. Then you attain them. This is the way to attain the divine. So you should be able to see everything as the divine alone, and he's constantly with you. This is what the gurus do in your dream. Like, I only dream about my Guruji. There's nobody else in my dream. It is constantly, he comes every single day. If there is a dream, there is my Guruji. I cannot dream about anybody else. Gone are the days when I have dreamt about all the crappy stuff. Today, I can only dream about my Guruji. Likewise, in this very beautiful story about Radha Rani, where after Krishna leaves Vrindavan and goes away, she sees the Tamala tree to everything has become Krishna. For her, she couldn't see anything but except Krishna. Even when Yashoda, when Maya Yashoda comes there and she says, don't you feel pain that Lord Krishna has left? Even Yashoda is Krishna to her. She cannot see anything beyond that. That is why Radharani is called the highest devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. To attain that prema, Raga Nuga Bhakti, the highest form of bhakti, you need to aspire to be that. You need to be able to see this divinity in everything. That is the power of this devotion. And today, aspire to be that. Do not waste your mind, this body, everything in getting lost in some crap. Your job, your boss, just do it. It's like he has said, right? You understand everything is stupid. What makes you think there is going to be a problem? When you are serving the divine, the Lord himself removes all of those obstacles from your life. Why fear when I am here, says Baba. And remember this truth. When he has thus become the object of deep contemplation, your mind will enter into the state of unmani. And when this happens every day, your mind will merge with the universal consciousness. But now, let us begin the story referred to at the end of the last chapter. Listen to it with respect, O listeners. Faith and devotion are like a feast of Shira Puri, a sweet dish. Shira Puri is nothing but it's this, we say goat Shira. It's I think different people say in different words. In South India, they call it kesari. So this is goat Shira. Shira Puri, which is Baba's favorite dish. We offer it to Baba as Naivedya. It's Puri. I'm sure you all know what Puri is. Deep fried wheat, puffed. I don't know, whatever. It's not a chapati, but it's made of wheat. So deep fried. And you eat with goat Shira. So that's a very favorite delicacy of Baba. The more you eat it, the more you want it. And even when you eat it to your full capacity, yet there can never be complete satiety. So now, listeners, if you listen attentively to the second story, you will be convinced of the great significance of a saint darshan. Outwardly, Baba seemed to do nothing. He did not even leave his seat to go anywhere. But sitting in one place, he knew everything and gave proof of it to all people. Brahman or Sat, which is in our bodies, is also present equally in the entire universe. Always remember this and consecrate your body in God's service alone. Absolutely. This body has to be wore out. You have to wear this body out only in the service of the God, not for any human beings. Don't even do that. When you wear this body in his service, you attain him. There is nothing more for you to attain in this life or any other life. You would have achieved your goal or spiritual wheel of having born as this human being. Know that he who surrendered to Brahman will see only oneness in all, and he who believes in duality will be caught in the chain of births and deaths. The intellect that firmly established duality is truly ignorance itself. The mind is purified by coming into contact with the Guru. Because of him comes the attainment of the state of self-realization. I think we are at the end of the hour, so we stop here and we will continue from where we stopped on Monday. Thank you so much for joining for the satsang. I hope you enjoyed today's lessons, and I wish you all a very happy Ganesha festival tomorrow. May the Lord Ganesha remove all the obstacles from your path and give you spiritual will. That is my prayer. And may he remove all the Vignaharta remove all the vignas from our world, and let this pandemic go away fast. We'll all worship. Let us all sing his glories. And may this Ganesh Chaturthi bring a new wheel to all of us. Thank you so much. Om Shri Maa Ganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunathanatha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.